this is a conference not only about humanitarian support to the people of Lebanon, it's also full support to the Lebanese nation in order to restore its sovereignty and supporting all its institutions. Lebanese people are suffering a lot today due to the Israeli attacks as an answer to the Hezbollah attacks. And this is creating an unbearable amount of civilian casualties and total destruction of the country. I think there is not a proportionality between the attacks and the casualties, civilians, 2,400 people, civilians being killed, 1.2 million displaced people, among them 400,000 children. The country is under great stress, so this has to end. He presented 7 points today. The first point is ceasefire. If there is not ceasefire, nothing else will work. But in order to have ceasefire, we need to fight against impunity and to look at all actors in the zone to respect international law. And the number of collateral damage created to the civilian population in Lebanon has to take into account. It's not the case. Secondly, the Lebanese parties, the Lebanese political leadership have to take their responsibility, and they have to elect a president. If they don't elect a president in order to make the country work, nothing will be solved. Third, reinforce the presence of UNIFIL and condemn the attacks against UNIFIL. And we know who is attacking UNIFIL. I've been watching videos where it's clear that the Israeli Defense Forces are attacking UNIFIL. And this is completely unacceptable. And everybody agreed on supporting UNIFIL and rejecting the attacks. 4, Lebanese army. Lebanese army has to be reinforced. And once this is fire, the Lebanese army has to deploy in the south. We have been listening to the plan of the Lebanese army to increase by 6,000 the number of their troops, but we have to provide them with support. We, the European Union, will give this year 20 million, next year 40 million to the Lebanese army. And from the point of view of humanitarian support, almost 80 million euros will be donated for humanitarian support alone. But the Lebanese army needs a lot of support. If we want them to be able to safeguard the borders and the sovereignty of their country, they have to be more, better trained, and better equipped. So the Lebanese army, the UNIFIL, the election of the president, the ceasefire, and prepare an economic support plan when the president will be elected, in order to give an incentive for the political class in Lebanon to take their responsibilities.
What is the message against the 8,000 missiles from the Hezbollah that fell on Israel last year?
Yes, certainly. We condemn Hezbollah attacks against Israel, certainly, and we also are very much aware of the role that Iran is playing in the story. There is a strong link between the war in Lebanon and the war in Gaza, and there is a strong link between Hezbollah and Iran. They are very well aware of that, and we condemn and we regret that 60,000 Israeli people had to leave their countries. There are 60,000 in one side and 1.2 million in the other side. So we take into consideration, utility of the UNIFIL. UNIFIL has a mandate. If you want UNIFIL to do a different thing, you have to change the mandate. But UNIFIL is doing what it has been asked to do. You cannot ask for a palm tree to produce peaches. If you want to change the mandate of UNIFIL, the United Nations has to do it. In the meantime, UNIFIL is doing his work.
Monsieur Borrell, justement, pour le vous avez parlé du renforcement de la figure. Est-ce que l'idée du déploiement de forces multinationales au-delà des contingents qui sont actuellement au Liban est une idée qui vous paraît concevable?
il faut, excusez-moi, il faut faire fonctionner ce qu'on a. On a 10 000 hommes déployés dans la frontière. On pourrait en avoir 15 000, parce que 15 000, c'est le nombre autorisé pour le FNUL. Je pense qu'il faut explorer toutes les possibilités pour que la FNUL soit plus opérationnelle dans le cadre de son mandat. On peut très bien demander à la FNUL de faire plus, mais il faut lui demander. J'ai visité la FNUL et on m'a dit on fait ce qu'on nous demande de faire. Si on nous demande de faire une autre chose, on la fera. On peut augmenter 50% le nombre de soldats de la FNUL. Donc faisons ce qui est possible, n'inventons pas la roue tous les jours. S'il y a des autres idées, bienvenue. Mais moi je suis quelqu'un de très pratique. Si on a 10 000 hommes et on peut en avoir 15 000, utilisons-le avant de chercher des solutions qui seront toujours plus difficiles de mettre en pratique.
Est-ce que vous avez un message pour Israël?
What is your message to the international community given this growing number of victims among the civilians in Lebanon without anybody able to stop this massacre today? Thank you.
Can you look this way? Thank you.
No, please. No, because the camera is here. Please.
I cannot look east and west at the same time. Or can you take the camera closer, no? Huh? Put your camera closer. No, the number of civilian casualties in Lebanon are unbearable. I am talking about proportionality. Certainly Israel has the right to defend against the Hezbollah attacks, but every right has a limit. And the limit is international law and the collateral damages that you create on civilian population. 2,400 people being killed is certainly not showing proportionality. The country has to be respected. Lebanese people are not all of them members of Hezbollah. So the international community has to put pressure in order to get a ceasefire. Everybody agreed on that today. A ceasefire. Without a ceasefire, nothing will be possible. But in order to get a ceasefire, you have to combine persuasion with constraint. And you have to put an end to the impunity.
Alors, dernière question, s'il vous plaît. Non, dernière question, monsieur, avec le foulard.
Ouais, il y avait une question là.
Oui, simplement je voudrais savoir si aujourd'hui, can I know if the situation today after this long war, how it ended? Is the leader are ready to think that this will be finished early or that will be too long?
Well, everybody wants this to finish quickly because every day there is a great toll of civilian casualties. Every day the toll is increasing. We have 400,000 children out of school and 1.2 million people, which is 20% of the Lebanese population, 20% of the Lebanese population out of their houses. And most of their houses has been destroyed, so they will have nothing to go back when the ceasefire comes. But in order to do that, the international community has to put diplomatic pressure, and that's what everybody is doing. Unhappily, it was an agreement in September, well, if not an agreement, something that could be an agreement. It wasn't reached at the end, and now the only thing that we can do is what we do at the European Union level, at the United Nations level, at the United States level, everybody pushing in order to make a ceasefire that could be the basis for ensuring the security in Israel and the peace for Lebanese people.
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Borrell,
Thank you.
Same.
Thank you. No,
Did
no.
you make already just a date for the deadline for the ceasefire?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Thank you.
Thank you.